Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a brand new video and we're going to be talking about how you can improve your squat, and I'm going to be going through my top 3 tips that I think a lot of people overlook and disregard when it comes to squatting, and hopefully you can take away these tips from this video and improve and look to really boost your own squat when you hit the gym next time. So before we get into the video, I just want to give a big thank you to everybody who is subscribed to the channel. We recently hit 400 subscribers on the channel, which is really good. At the start of the year, I think I was on around 250 subscribers, so to be, halfway through April and on 400 is really good. The goal for the end of this year has always been 500 subscribers, so we're very close to that now, and I would say that's the next milestone in terms of the growth of this channel. So yeah, thank you guys for your continued support, and I'm extremely grateful. So that being said, guys, let's get straight into the video. So my first tip for you guys out there on how you can improve your squat, and something that I think is extremely disregarded, is making sure that you warm up properly. Too many times when I go to the gym, I see people, just walk up to the squat rack and just get under the barbell straight away. And whilst you can definitely get away with this, especially if you're a younger individual, or you've got really healthy knee joints and you're quite athletic and you can recover quickly, I think it's very detrimental to your long-term progress. Warming up is very important because it allows your muscles to get warm and also allows them to get loose as well, because you don't want to be squatting with really tight muscles because it's going to lead to inefficient power output. If you're someone who's pushed for time when you hit the gym, I would say maybe look to just keep your warm up nice and simple. Even 5 minutes is better than nothing at all. Look to implement exercises like leg swings, doing some body weight squats, and you can also implement exercises like split squats, lunges, and these exercises are really good just to get your knees warm and get them primed ready for your squats. If you're someone who is a bit older, or you've got weaker mobility and you're a bit more tend to getting sore after a gym session, especially when you hit legs and you're squatting, I would say maybe look at working on your hip mobility, as this is very common in terms of feeling that soreness and feeling that pain during squatting. You can do exercises like hip rotations. You can look at doing some work with resistance bands as well to really help open up the hips and make sure you're feeling nice and loose once you get under that barbell. So yeah, that's the first tip I have, just making sure that you're actually dedicating time and setting some time aside to warming up before you actually go under the barbell. So that being said, now you've warmed up, the next thing that I would say is equipment. Now I've actually split this into 2 subcategories, and the first one is going to be looking at investing in a pair of knee sleeves. Now the most common knee sleeve that you'll probably see within a gym is this one right here. This is from a company called SBD. They're very big on making lifting equipment. They specialize in equipment for powerlifters and also strongmen, but they also do some equipment for like Olympic weightlifting as well. These ones right here, the 7mm powerlifting knee sleeves, which I use personally, but you can use any from their website, I would recommend. The reason we wear a knee sleeve is to primarily provide warmth to the knee joint, and it is really good because it gives a layer of compression to your knees, and for the first time when you use them, you're going to feel a lot of difference compared to just squatting without them, especially when you get to your heavier weights. I think the thing with knee sleeves is a lot of people who do use them or think about buying them think that they're going to add a lot of weight to your squat. So like a lot of people will just assume that if you whack these on your knees, you're going to add like 30 kilos to your squat, and that's not the case. They're there as a tool to help you. They're not just going to automatically add weight to the bar. You still need to make sure that you're squatting with good form and that you understand the movement, and you're doing all the other components of the exercise correctly as well. But these are a really good tool that I'd recommend you having in your gym bag, especially for your leg days. You don't have to use them just for squats. You can use them for your leg press movements and other leg movements, because once again, they're really good for keeping the knees warm, and they're going to keep your legs feeling fresher for longer, which is ultimately going to help you in the long run, especially when you're looking to make progress and securing those gains in the gym. And then finally, the last thing I want to talk about in today's video in terms of little pointers that you can use to help improve a squat is looking at the pair of shoes that you have on your feet when you're squatting. Now, I think in the gym you see a lot of different kind of approaches to this. You see some people who, you know, they'll have basically no shoes on at all. They'll squat just in their socks, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. But for me personally, and I know a lot of people are the same, they're going to want a pair of shoes on just to feel a lot more secure and stable under the bar. And there's two ways you can go about it. If you're someone who, you know, has really good ankle mobility, you can hit depth quite easily, I would recommend getting a really solid flat base shoe, which, you know, isn't like a running shoe where there's a big spongy outsole that is going to basically it's going to increase the distance from your feet to the floor, which is going to, you know, divert the amount of power you can directly push into the floor. So instead, I'd look at getting a flat shoe, something like this. This right here is the Avansus Apex power lifting shoe. Now, this comes in a high top version, as you can see here, but also a low top version. And this is very, very popular amongst the powerlifters who, you know, will use this shoe to squat in, especially if they're like the flat soled shoes. Now, these are really good because they're basically designed as a barefoot shoe, which, if you're not familiar with, is a shoe that is really, really close to the floor. I think there's like a 0.2 millimeter drop from the heel to the sole. And that means you're going to be really close to the floor, which is going to allow you to improve your power output when you're looking to squat. Another thing about these kind of shoes is that they've got a really wide toe box, which is going to allow you to spread out your feet and allow you to create a really stable base on the floor when you're looking to squat. If you compare that to, you know, wearing a pair of running shoes or a pair of like, let's just use the Converse trainer, for example, where it's really narrow toe box and your feet are really squished together, it's not going to allow you to create as much of a stable base where you can drive through the floor compared to a shoe like this, which gives you lots of space for your toes to spread out and keep you nice and stable. So I would definitely look at getting one of these flat-footed shoes for your squats. And also you can use these for other movements in the gym. You know, I think they're just a really solid all-round good shoe for the gym, and especially with these ones too, they've got really good grip as well. So, you know, you're not going to be slipping and sliding. Let's say, for example, you're doing a bench press, you're not going to be slipping and sliding when you have a pair of these on, as they have really good grip. But apart from that, another thing I want to mention is if you're someone who, you know, struggles to hit depth, you're struggling to, you know, get your hip crease below your kneecap when you're squatting, I would say and recommend for you to look at getting an Olympic weightlifting shoe, something like this. This here is the Nike Savaleos weightlifting shoe. There's a bunch of different ones you can get, but the main selling factor to these is the fact that they've got a raised heel up here. Now, this is going to allow your foot to be at a slight angle, and it's going to make the range of motion for your ankle be decreased significantly, and it's going to allow you to hit depth a lot easier. Now, these shoes are a little pricey. They can range between, I'd say, 100 to 180 pounds roughly, depending on which brand you go for and which style of shoe. But I think, like I said, if you're someone who needs that extra ankle mobility and you really enjoy the squats and you want to take your squats seriously, definitely look at getting a pair of these. They're going to last you a while for sure, because they're built to be, you know, durable, and you get a lot of extra support as well, because a lot of them come with these straps which give your midfoot or ankle region a lot more support and stability, which can definitely help you. But I would definitely say these aren't a necessity. You know, I would definitely recommend to most people to try out the flat shoe first before looking at buying a pair of these heels, or just, you know, like I mentioned before, squatting in a flat pair of shoes. You know, I could recommend like the Air Jordans are a really popular one, or Vans. They're also very popular. But if that doesn't work, try it in your socks as well, see how that feels. But then if you know they're not doing it for you, get a pair of these, and if these aren't doing it for you, get a pair of these. Now, with that being said, guys, those are my 3 main pointers for you in today's video. Hopefully, you know, you can take away something that you've learned from this video, something new, and you can apply it to your next gym session, and hopefully it's going to help you to improve and, you know, make your squat sessions a lot more easier in the future. So if you did find this video useful, be sure to leave me a like on this video to let me know that I've done a good job. And if you enjoyed this style of content, be sure to subscribe and support my channel, as it means a lot. And like I mentioned, we're on the road now to 500 subscribers. So with that being said, guys, one more big thank you for tuning in for today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.